Hello, my lords and ladies, and welcome to another episode of Nerd Knights Painting, where we are painting the War Despot. That's how you say it. I don't know. Anyways, thank you for all my YouTube members for supporting the channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. This one's kind of decently long. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. We're almost through the first box of this. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, hit bell so you get alerted whenever we go live. And yeah, so without further ado, let's go. Alright, starting this out, obviously you need to build your miniature. I also did put some Stirland Mud down on the ground, and then I spray painted it, or you can use an airbrush with black and then white from above. But you can see that some of the black is sticking through. For all of facial skin, and then some on the arms on the side, we are going to be using some Agrax Earthshade. All right, for our sash around the back and then on the front, we're going to be using some Sigvald Burgundy. We're also going to use this onto our shoulders as well. Now you can see me painting these, and we're going to change up the shoulder color here in a second, and I made a mistake, and I'm going to reiterate it here in the next frame so you do not make the same mistake that I do. Alright, so what you'll see is me putting it on the Shyish Purple on the back sash. We do not want to do that. You do not want to do that. Do not make the same mistake I did. We want to put those on the shoulder areas that are coming down with the Sigvald Burgundy. So again, I know you're watching me paint that back sash. We do not want that on there. All right, moving on to our next color, which is the Black Legion. There are multiple areas on this that we need to paint. So you're going to need to do this on the bottom portion of the sash, some of the front and the sides. So just follow along. I point out everything that we need to paint while I'm painting it on here. Again, you can see how much trash this looks when I painted the Shyish Purple over the back. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I wasn't paying attention. But again, do not make my mistake while you're looking at this, because it almost looks like it's black. But I ended up trying to go over it with the Sigvald Burgundy, and it did make a little bit of difference, but it didn't really make a big. All right, moving on to our horns, and we're going to put some Gryph Charger Gray in there. So just do the horns. There's a little lip on the inside that is kind of hard to see, but make sure you get parity with the horns, and do not get the portions that are hanging down. We're going to do that with some Retributor Armour here in a little bit. All right, for the front little thing that's hanging down, it's like the only little thing there. We're going to use some Militarium Green. Pretty simple. All right, for the little balls that are in our War Despots, whatever you call this thing, little sword T thing, we're going to use some Tesseract Glow. And for all of our armor, we're going to do a spin around at the end of this shot. So it's going to be going on the hands, portion of the helmet, the boots, shoulder pads, a whole bunch of stuff. But we're going to do a spin around here in a second. So you should follow along. And here it is. Yes. All right, another giant portion of painting this miniature, and it is with the gold. And we're going to be using some Retributor Armour. Doing this on the helmet, some on the back, a little bit onto the T-sword, and the earrings that are coming down from the horns. So again, just follow along. All right, continuing on with our metallics, and we are painting some Leadbelcher. This is going to go on to all of our T-sword portion on the blade itself, on the armor moving around, and we're also going to paint this around the diamond areas on the front and then on the helmet. Again, you'll see this here in a second. All right, for the diamonds themselves, we're going to paint those with some Baal Red. If you don't have this, you can also use Flush Terrors Red or any other type of red that you have, but it is still mostly white from the primer, so we're just going to use a quick little speed paint. For the back gun, when you're looking at the photo that I found online, you'll notice that the gun does not really have much color. So let's just use something simple. You can also use some Mortarion Grime, or the ones that we're using right now, or some Targor Shade, or some Agrax Earthshade, or just something simple that doesn't make it stand out too much because it is very bland. We are also going to use this on the front little portion behind these tiny little diamonds. And for our last base color, we're going to paint those nice little tusks that are coming out in the Screaming Skull, or something similar to what you have, and that does it for all of our base colors. All right, moving on to our washes. The first wash we're going to do is going to be on all of our gold areas, and that is going to be with some Reikland Flashshade. You can also use a little bit of Fire Slayer Flesh mixed with equal parts of Lahmian Medium to give you a darker tone. It is up to you on how you want to do that. Next, for all of our metallics, pretty simple. We're going to use some straight Nulin Oil on those. Nothing crazy about it. All right, for all of our Runelord Brass area, we are going to paint that over with a 50-50 mix of Cygor Brown and Lahmian Medium. Now, I don't really show a huge portion of it, but it is all over the Runelord Brass areas. And lastly, for our last little bit of shade that we're going to put on there, we're going to put some Berserker Bloodshade on all of our red. If you do not have this color, you can use Carroburg Crimson or something similar to that. All right, once everything is dry, we're going to move on to our highlight step. Now, for those of you who didn't listen to me and painted that Shyish Purple on the back sash, we are going over it with some highlights of some pink horror. Now, this is just going to be some of the raised areas, some of the edging, and we're also going to use this where we covered it up with some of the Shyish Purple as well. Our next little highlights slash edge dressing is going to be on all of our Black Legion areas. Now, we're going to be doing this on the bottom areas of the sash. We are also going to be doing this on the beard portions that are sticking up. So we're just kind of cruise through, picking out little areas just to give it some more life. This is kind of a long clip, so you can follow along as I do it. Now we are also going to use this to do some edge highlighting onto our horns. Now be very careful with this. You don't want very much paint on your brush, not brush on your paint, if you know what I mean. And we're going to do those edge areas. You can put little lines and maybe some crisscrosses or some strike points onto our horns if you want to make them more like the box art, because it is kind of a pain to do all that, but it does look good with that white sticking through. For our little teeth, we're just going to go over it with some Deepkin Flesh. If you don't have this, you can use Ushabti Bone or Screaming Skull, or really you could just use what we're about to use right now, some Flayed One Flesh on top of the skin that we're going to brighten up our War Despot skin real quick. Next, for all of our metallics, we are going to do some Ironbreaker or some Runefang Steel, whatever you got, or whatever lighter silver you do have, and we're going to put that all over to our metallics. We're also going to be doing a edge dressing onto our T-sword that our War Despot is holding, and any other metallic you really kind of want to see with some edge highlighting on some silver. All right, for our little green thing at the bottom here, we're just going to use some Warboss Green. Again, you can use whatever kind of light green you would like. You can also use Moot Green if you would like, Strachan Green, something like that. But we're just going to kind of highlight that up real quick. To create that kind of glowing effect, we are going to do some Ork Flesh or some type of dark green that you have. Ork Flesh, the contrast paint, this is not the right color that I'm staring at. It is actually Ork Flesh, the contrast paint that we're going to put on there. It's a very dark green, and just kind of spread it around, and then you can add the next color here in 2 seconds. And then we are just going to throw some of that Tesseract Glow in there, and it'll give it that glow effect. Now you can do the front side and the back side. I only did the front side of our War Despot, but you can do whatever you would like. Now to highlight up all of our gold areas, we're just going to do some Liberator Gold. Pretty simple, nothing too crazy. And we're just doing some edge highlighting and brightening up our gold that we had doused down with that Reikland Flashshade. For our little jewels, diamonds, whatever they are, we're going to use some Evil Sunz Scarlet to kind of just brighten it up just a little bit. And you can also take it a little bit further if you would like with some Wild Rider Red. But again, it's up to you. Now, this could be a little bit of a tricky part. So everything that we went over with the Cygor Brown Lahmian Medium mix onto our Runelord Brass areas, we're just going to kind of pick out some areas and do some Canoptek Alloy. You can do a lot of edge highlighting on this, picking out the fingers, a lot of the sides, a lot of the straight edges or the rigid edges, and just really creating some variance and some colorization on your miniature. All right, coming down to the wire here, where the rocks that our guy is standing on, we're just going to do some Nulin Oil on that. And then your favorite part of painting the miniature, because it means you're done, is the base and the rim of the base. We're doing Black Templar. Now, once this dries around the rim of the base, you'll probably need to hit it with some Abaddon Black. And then I ended up just doing a quick dry brush of some Dawnstone around the base, where the Stirland Mud is at, just to give it all my units the same uniformity. So that's it. That's all she wrote. Not too terrible. There is a lot of little things and idiosyncrasies about this miniature. It does take a little while longer than I thought it would, but it turned out pretty decent. I like how it looks. Not too shabby. But again, I want to say thank you to all my YouTube members, all my subscribers. If you share this video, if you post it on Reddit, or if you do anything to help support the channel, I can't thank you enough. This is something I truly enjoy doing, and I love making these videos. I wish I had more time to make more, but hopefully in the future I will have that. But until next time, I love you all, and I'll see you soon. All right, paint on.